Hi, everyone. Welcome to Farsight Weekly. I am Courtney Brown, Director of Farsight, where we study the subject of remote viewing widely applied, where all data are collected under totally blind and scientifically defensible conditions. We also have an interest in things that are extraterrestrial, such as UAPs and ET activities. So, let's dive in. What just happened, and what do our Farsight projects have to say about it? Well, first off, there was the Republican National Convention that we can now wrap up. Our Deep News project had 4 sessions, and all of them said that the level of chaos or disruption would be less for the Republican National Convention than the Democratic National Convention. Now, the Republican National Convention happened in Milwaukee, Wisconsin from July 15th through the July 18th. Now, the assassination attempt against Donald Trump happened just 2 days before the convention on July 13th. And it was a primary feature of the convention itself. So it was difficult for the remote viewing to separate the chaos associated with the assassination attempt from the rest of the convention, since they both blended together essentially in the same time around Donald Trump. The mental space of both events was the same. Many people at the convention even wore badges on one ear to offer the sense of unity with Donald Trump. There was also a huge and very visible police presence at the Republican National Convention, and protesters were highly controlled during that event. So the level of disruption that was visible in the media was on the low side during the actual convention, but if you consider the chaos of the assassination attempt and the heavy police presence at the convention all blended together, that considerably matches our remote viewing results. Now, the Democratic National Convention is still to come, and it will happen in Chicago from August 19th through the 22nd. We will have to wait to see what happens with that one. Now, in terms of global problems, we have numerous projects indicating significant global disruption throughout this year and into 2025. Right now, the mainstream media is censoring things more than I have ever seen it before. The Ukraine war is highly volatile, with Ukrainian armed forces even invading Russian territory. The Wagner Group being remobilized by Russia. Hezbollah is throwing huge numbers of drones into northern Israel. The Gaza war is increasingly difficult to watch in terms of casualties. Iran and Russia are exchanging weapons. North Korea is starting to supply weapons to Russia. Belarus seems ready to engage Ukrainian armed forces. The U.S. forces are being attacked inside Syria and Iraq. And Ukraine now has F-16 jets, and they have been given permission to use a variety of Western weapons inside Russian territory, which they are doing. Well, if you look at the front pages of most Western media, very little of that is being featured or explained, or sometimes even covered at all. It is almost like the rising global dangers are not happening. And this makes me think that the major media are terrified at what is going on, and they are hoping all of it just goes away. It is like they do not want to inflame the situation by getting people to focus on these things, especially when the Democratic National Convention is so near. I can understand wanting to prevent public panic, but the news is the news, and secrecy with the news usually means that the events themselves are increasingly important. It is like the UAP or UFO disclosure issue. The mainstream media does not report much of it, since they actively repress the topic. So when I see the news being repressed so extensively, I usually conclude that the media are inadvertently setting up a situation in which surprises are more likely, not less likely. With regard to the UAP or UFO disclosure issue, for example, the failure to report the topic almost certainly sets up a situation in which we will eventually get rapid catastrophic disclosure rather than gradual disclosure. Most of the public will be taken by surprise, and the media will express shock and dismay at how governmental officials withheld the truth for so long, when in fact it was the media itself that allowed that to happen. So the level of disruption is likely to be larger in the future, more chaotic, not calmer, as the result of all of this. When pressure continues to build, eventually the situation pops. So with regard to the global wars that are happening right now, as well as the UAP UFO disclosure issue, that is what I see happening. Catastrophic disclosure with respect to both wars and UAP UFO disclosure. No one is releasing the pressure. It's just continuing to build. I need to mention that our audience should watch our Israel's Future project closely if you have not done so already. It was released in July on FarsightPrime.com. Now, the timeline we seem to be heading down is the one with increased levels of violence. It's an important project. In general, Farsight projects tend to be exceptionally accurate, and again, all of our data are collected under scientifically defensible and totally blind conditions. Always remember that Farsight is totally data-driven. We do not report what people say, which is he said, she said stuff. That is what you get everywhere else. Farsight offers you raw perceptions from highly trained remote viewers with extensive public track records. In many respects, we are a news station that uses a very novel form of information gathering. You don't get that from anywhere else. Farsight is unique. Remember also that at farsightprime.com we have forums where people have discussions and ask lots of questions. We are engaging these questions in a highly public manner, so Farsight is not just a place to see the world using an entirely different lens, it's also a place where you can interact with others to have discussions. Now in August 2024, Aziz Brown is answering many of the questions posed in the forums, so take a look. Also, each week we will bring you a segment from one of our remote viewers, which you could also see as correspondent reports. Now, these reports are not edited by me. These are direct perspectives from our remote viewers. For this week, here is Shantae.
Hey y'all, this is Shantae with the Farsight Institute, and I wanted to take a moment to address a question we often receive about remote viewing, and that's, can you be harmed or affected by the negative energies and beings you encounter during a remote viewing session? Now, the short answer is no, but it's important to understand the methods in place to ensure your protection. When you engage in remote viewing, one of the most critical aspects is that you start with setting your intention. This is foundational for not just remote viewing, but any psychic activity like mediumship, psychometry, or tarot reading, for example. Usually, your intention will be something along the lines of just gathering information or offering guidance or gaining clarity, which I wouldn't immediately associate with inviting negative energies around you. These are good, clear intentions. As you may know, at Farsight, we've remote viewed some intense target locations, events, and subjects, like death traps, dictators, and war zones. To focus your energy and establish boundaries for protection, we emphasize the importance of intention setting before beginning any session. We have a scientific remote viewing, or SRV, affirmation to help you feel secure in yourself and your purpose. You can pause the video and read it here. Meditation is another key practice that supports your protection. Before starting a remote viewing session, you'll always take time to meditate. This will not only help to center yourself, but will also solidify that intention you set. Here, you can also take a moment to check in with yourself and ensure that you're aligned and not already feeling affected by some other potential negative influences. After meditating, you may feel not physically or mentally ready for a remote viewing session, and that's totally okay because you can pick it up another time. The great thing about remote viewing is there's no deadline to complete a session. If something's telling you that today's not the day, like if you're stressed, if you're tired, or if you're just not in a good mood, then it's best to just accept today's not the day. Take the time to assess your mental fortitude and, as always, prioritize your health. Now, even if you do encounter what might seem like negative subjects or energies during a session, my perspective is that any ties to a target location are severed once I complete the session, and that's even if you visit the same target location multiple times. You should know that you have the control to not allow negative energy to seep into your life from a remote viewing target. After I complete a session, I like to rest, eat to replenish my energy, or just put my focus towards something non-remote viewing related. These are some things that can ensure you're not carrying any residual energies or influences with you after the session ends. In summary, while the idea of encountering negative energies can be daunting, following these practices, setting clear intention, using meditation and affirmation, and ensuring you cut all ties post-session helps to maintain your protection and well-being. Of course, I welcome any comments on your thoughts and perspectives. That's the way I like to go about remote viewing. So thanks for tuning in, and until next time, stay curious and stay safe. If you're interested in remote viewing instruction from me, you can inquire by email to rvwithtay@gmail.com. Also, check out my new personal YouTube channel, Shantae, if you want to see what I'm up to outside of Farsight. Peace.
Remember also that this month in August, we are starting a new project called the Farsight Board Meeting. Now, this is a meeting with all or most of us at Farsight, together with one or two extraterrestrials. It is recorded live with no scripting, and you are going to see these meetings on farsightprime.com. If you have been following the congressional hearings that have been going on in Washington, you will know that the United States government has long been trying to cover up all sorts of information regarding their own interactions with extraterrestrials. You may call it an open secret. Bad stuff has been going on, and they don't want you to know about it. And if you follow our activities at Farsight, you will know that we have long had direct interactions with extraterrestrials, the extraterrestrials who we call the good ETs. Now, these extraterrestrials have been essentially shut out of direct governmental interactions, and they want you to know that they desire open contact with the public. Now, not years in the future. So, these good ETs asked us to have and record these meetings so that everyone can see and hear the interactions. The good ETs do not want secrets, and neither do us at Farsight. They do not want to participate in the secrecy that keeps humanity repressed. The chaos that you see in the world today is largely a consequence of that secrecy, and neither the governments nor the bad ETs who work with the governments want you to know about it. So, watch the Farsight board meetings. They are for you. We like YouTube, but we cannot put such content on YouTube, and I don't think you need me to explain why. So watch the Farsight board meetings on farsightprime.com. Know that there are many extraterrestrials who simply want the secrecy and the deception to end right now. Now, like right away. Because we are heading toward a situation of catastrophic disclosure, there will be a moment in the future when all of the truth will come out. The global crises that are evolving now are all part of this process, where pressure builds to the point where the powers that be simply cannot continue repressing information as in the past. And when that happens, there will be a shootout, a real and very visible shootout between the good ETs and the bad ETs. We do not know when exactly this will happen, and even the ETs don't know exactly when this will happen. But the current Cold War between the good ETs and the bad ETs will turn into a hot war, and if you want to get a preview of what will happen when it happens, watch our just-released project, The Shootout, on farsightprime.com. You can't get this from any mainstream news outlet, and you don't want to be caught flat-footed. So get it here first, before it happens. Our next Earth Mysteries project will be out around the middle of August, also on farsightprime.com, and that will be Tanis. Tanis is an archaeological site in Egypt where there are huge monoliths, ruins, and rock formations that were destroyed in some kind of cataclysm. Well, we now know exactly what happened in Tanis long ago to destroy the place. And you will find out also around the middle of August 2024, only on farsightprime.com. You're going to want to see this one. Also, I should add at this point that on farsightprime.com we are now offering captions in multiple languages for many of our videos, so English is not a limitation on farsightprime.com. Now, deep news. Now, most of our audience knows about our deep news project that we publish on both YouTube and farsightprime.com. Well, It just so happens that our next deep news project is the upcoming war between Israel and Hezbollah. We already released one session, and 3 more are coming up. We honestly did not think this would be so timely when it was done, but the big war between Israel and Hezbollah seems to be more and more likely. So if you want to see how it will turn out, you have front row seats at Farsight. Remember that at Farsight we do not like wars. Wars between humans are largely a result of manipulative activities of the bad ETs who try to keep humanity in a constant state of chaos and turmoil, precisely to stop people from settling down and focusing on the ET activities. So this is no exception. But at Farsight, we need to use these moments of struggle as opportunities to show you how remote viewing works and to give you the deep, deep. So keep watching Farsight to find out how this human tragedy is going to evolve. Remember that we have a huge instructional and educational effort here at Farsight. We have people teaching our version of remote viewing, and we offer lots of instructional videos on farsightprime.com, plus printed materials on farsight.org. We are also listing our Farsight certified instructors who are teaching these classes, and the list will grow as more people obtain certification. Now, the Farsight instructors are doing this on their own. Farsight does not get any financial benefit from their activities. So start by going to our website, farsight.org, and near the top of the navigation bar on the left, you will see a link for remote viewing courses. Farsight is totally transparent. Farsight is first class from top to bottom, so when you follow our stuff, you are engaging with the best. To keep up with what we do at Farsight, start by subscribing to our YouTube channel and remember to click on the notifications bell that appears after you subscribe. That is the only way YouTube will notify you of the new events, especially our live stream events. Just subscribing doesn't do anything. The notifications bell is the important part. But that only notifies you of things that we release on YouTube. To be notified about the things that we release on farsightprime.com, which you can watch using our Apple and Android apps on the web and on your home TV, you need to subscribe to our free email newsletter found on our website, farsight.org. You can also allow our apps to notify you of our new releases on farsightprime.com. Now, the links for YouTube and our newsletter are in the description area below this video, and the app is, well, it's on your phone. Those are how we announce what we do. We never send out spam, and we never give our subscriber list to anyone else for any purpose. Well, that is it for this week at Farsight. Each week we will bring you the latest. Stick with us in these changing times, and we will always stick with you. What you get from Farsight, you can get absolutely nowhere else. Stay ahead of the curve. Let the mainstream fade in the dust. Be there now. I'm Courtney Brown, Director of Farsight.